So let me give your credentials here. Jasmine Warga is a professor at the Vermont College of Fine Arts and the author of numerous books, including The Shape of Thunder, My Heart and Other Black Holes, and the Newbery Honor recipient, Other Words for Home. Her newest book, I think, just hit shelves last week. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it just
It's
came out last Tuesday.
a Rover story. So, Jasmine, welcome.
Yay, thank you so much for having me. And it was so fun to hear about all the cool prizes I want to win, getting to talk with an actual live NASA astronaut. That sounds amazing.
Last year, I was able to talk to someone and interview them. They said, "This is what it's like to live up in space." It was rather amazing. So maybe one day we can get there, Jasmine.
Yeah, I know. I was like, how do I enter this contest?
I would love that. But before we begin, first I will say this. Other Words for Home. That is a wonderful, simply amazing book. All of our readers, listeners out there, they should definitely read this book. It's absolutely amazing. It's so touching. It's a brilliant book. So thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
No,
That's so kind.
I have to say that. But you were here to talk about a rover story. So where did you get the idea for this book? I mean, it's about a Mars rover, Rez, right? Who
Yeah.
gains consciousness, humanity during his exploration. So where did this idea come from?
Yeah. So in July 2020, I was at home, like most of us were, with our families, and my family, was still isolated from a lot of our other family and friends. We were at home, and it came to our attention that NASA's newest rover, Perseverance, was launching that day, and so we all decided to watch it together. And I was watching the launch, I felt really emotional. I felt really moved listening to the NASA scientists talk about how many years they'd worked on this project, their relationship with the rover and with one another. And I started thinking about, our world felt really broken at, especially, then in 2020. But this felt so optimistic and so hopeful, and was such a display of what the best of humanity can do when we come together to kind of work together through teamwork and collaboration. And so I'm watching it, and that dramatic moment happens, right, where the rocket that's carrying the rover launches, and my oldest daughter gets up on the couch and she's clapping and jumping up and down, and my husband's clapping and I'm clapping. And then I look over at my youngest daughter and she looks upset. And so I'm trying to talk to her, and I'm explaining, no, this is like what we wanted to happen. This is successful. She says, yeah, but Mom, don't you think the robot is scared? And I thought that was such a beautiful question of such deep empathetic imagination, and reminds me so much of why I love to write for this audience, and how fun it is to kind of stretch your imagination. And so I started to think that'd be a really cool idea for a book, but it seems so different, right, from everything that I had written before. But then when I started to think about it, I started to realize, that it's not that different in some ways, that it's Heart than Other Words for Home, because it's a book, right, about what does it mean to have to leave home, and what does it mean to want to find somewhere that you belong, and what does it mean to be really scared and to do something anyway. And so I started researching the rovers, and the more that I learned about NASA's rover project, the more I got excited to want this to be my next book. And that's kind of where a rover story came from.
I know you dedicated the book to your mom, but maybe you should have dedicated it to your daughter. That's a really insightful observation. That's amazing.
I know. I mean, she does get the premiere thank you in the acknowledgments. I dedicated the book before this book to my daughter, so I felt like that'd be a little bit of a double whammy. And the reason the book is dedicated to my mom is one of my dreams for the book is for it to be used as a read aloud. And I feel like I fell in love with stories in part because my mom read aloud to me so much as a kid. And even today, as a grown up, my very favorite way to experience story is to hear it aloud. I think it really frees up your imagination. And so I'm really excited about the possibility of many young people getting to meet resilience through a read aloud.
What was your favorite book your mom read to you? The one that you can still hear her voice reading it?
Yeah, that's Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
Read aloud.
I can too. Well, you have some amazing characters in this book. So let's talk first about Rez and also about Sophie, because I love how you split the narrative here. And that was a great writing choice. Because can you talk to us about those two characters?
Yeah. So I really wanted there to be that contrast, right? That resilience, his chapters, they start off really short, right? And really sparse, and kind of the way we would almost imagine a robot's voice sounding. And he's a little bit more tentative. And then we have Sophie's letters, where I got to have this like messier, punchier, spunkier voice. And I love their exchange because, again, I think as the book goes on, you find the ways that they're connected in sort of expected and unexpected ways, and the ways that their growth kind of parallels one another. And that was just a fun exercise to play with, because my favorite element of writing is always creating characters and relationships and seeing how like the story kind of grows from the ways those relationships grow and deepen. And definitely like Sophie and Resilience are really interesting in that they're characters that don't necessarily seem like they would be intertwined, but I feel like the book really runs on the dialogue that happens kind of between them.
And we also see that change over time. And I really love that, because it's not a story of just a single moment. We see that time pass for both of them. And that was really beautifully done as their voices change and their recognition change. So I love that. Speaking of characters, I'm curious, you've been promoing this book, and I'm sure touring now this first week. Are all of your audiences, do they love the character of Fly? Is that the popular hit? Is everyone directing there? Because it's such a great character. Can you talk about Fly?
I mean, Fly is my favorite character. So maybe I'm like pushing, when I talk about the book at schools, pushing kids in that direction, because I love to go to schools and I talk about how excited I was when I first started researching the Rover. So when I had that idea and went up to my computer and went on NASA's website and learned that Perseverance, NASA's actual rover, brought a friend with her to Mars, Ingenuity. And so Fly, who is the drone helicopter character in a Rover story, is based off of Ingenuity. And I love that it's real science, right? And that the drone helicopter really does live inside the rover when it's not flying, and they communicate with one another, right? And who's to say what that really looks like for machines? And so I loved that. Is my favorite part of the book, is Resilience's like friendship with Fly and their relationship and how they work together in this sort of really dangerous mission on Mars.
Mm-hmm. Jasmine, do you mind reading us a passage from the book?
Yeah, no, that would be great. So I'm just gonna start from the beginning. And since the chapters are really short, I'm gonna read the first two chapters, and then I'm gonna read a little bit from the first letter from Sophie, so that people can kind of get a sense of what we were talking about with the two different voices. So the first day. I am not born in the way humans are, but there is a beginning. Beeping, bright lights, a white room filled with figures in white hazmat suits. So much information to process, but I can handle it. I awake to knowledge. My circuits fire. The room cheers. A loud sound, but it does not startle me. I am not built for startling. I have been built for observation. In the sea of unknown figures, I focus on a face. I do not know if I have a face. If I have one, my information suggests it is not like this one. The face has what humans call lips. The human lips curl upward. A smile. I cannot smile. This I know. But somehow I understand the significance of this expression. I am learning. My mission has begun. Learning. I am built to collect and process information. That is how I learn. Here is some of the information I have collected. I am what is referred to as a robot. Most of the other beings around me are called humans. All the humans I interact with wear hazmat suits. This is to prevent microbacteria and dust particles from entering my environment. It is very important for my mission that I am kept in a sterile and clean environment. For some reason that I do not quite understand yet, humans call the white hazmat suits they wear bunny suits. I do not know what a bunny is. I frequently wonder about the possibilities. Most of the humans in bunny suits are what humans term scientists. This, I have deduced, is a subset of human. Perhaps I am a subset of robot, but I have not encountered enough robots to know for sure. I will wait to find out, but waiting can be hard. Dear Rover, my teacher, Mrs. Ennis, asked us to write a letter to you. She's really excited. She says you're going on an amazing mission where you're going to find out amazing things. Mrs. Ennis really likes the word amazing. Mrs. Ennis kept looking at me while she talked about you. She even asked me if I wanted to explain to the other kids what you were, and I really didn't. Not at all. No offense, but I'm already sick and tired of hearing about you all the time. Then she said, "Come on, Sophia." And I didn't want to disappoint Mrs. Ennis, so I told everyone how you are a robot who was created to explore the planet of Mars so that we can understand its atmosphere and environment better. That's kind of a mouthful to say, you know. I also told them how you were engineered to be really smart and that you are learning new things every day. Like yesterday, mom told me that your brain learned how to talk to your arm. My classmates had lots of questions, but I didn't know how to answer them. I bet mom could, though. Anyway, Mrs. Ennis wants us to enter the contest to name you. I'm not sure I'm going to enter. No offense again. Though if I did enter, I would submit something awesome like Spicy Sparkle Dragon Blast. I know enough to know that you can't talk like humans do, but if you could, I think you would tell me that you like that name. Okay, my hand is starting to hurt. I think I've written enough. And anyway, I don't know if rovers can read. Maybe I'll ask mom tonight. Bye, Sophia.
Jasmine, that's wonderful. And I will say to everyone out there, I stayed up until 1 o'clock one night finishing the book. I had to know how it ended. I had to know that day when I started the book.
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine, very quickly, how can all of our viewers out there be like resilience and be like Sophie? How can they, be searching for something, roving for something, trying to discover something in the world they live?
Oh, I love that question. And I think that comes from, chasing your curiosity, thinking about what is it that you love, that you are curious about, and that you have to share with the world. This is sort of related, but I meet a lot of young people who they want to write, right? They like to write, and they'll say, I don't feel like I have any ideas. And I always like to share that I feel like the best place we can all get ideas is if we take a moment to step back and think about what are the things we really wonder about? What are the things we're curious about? And then being brave enough to pursue them and want to share them with other people. Because I think it's that infectiousness that comes from when you are truly curious and truly excited and truly full of wonder, and you can share that wonder with other people. And I think that that's sort of how we begin to shape and change our world for the better, is sharing the things that are special and matter to us with the people in our life who are special and matter to us.
Well, I have one more very quick question because I'm curious. You just finished this book, you're touring it now, you're introducing it to everyone. What's next? What are you working on next?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And this is kind of a hard answer, but I like to be honest, especially if there are other um, young people listening, especially people who want to be writers or might be trying to figure out their own projects. That so for the past 10 months, I've been working on a book and I was really excited about it, but I'm not sure that book is working anymore. And those of us who are writers, you know how that goes, right? That you can be grinding it out and you can have this moment where you start to realize, I really like these characters, but I'm not sure if the story's right. So I'm sort of back to the drawing board. So related to the question you asked me, I'm kind of trying to be open to that and try to figure out, okay, what is it that's really grabbing my attention? What is it that I'm so curious about that I can't wait to explore? And then we'll be so excited to hopefully in a few years have the chance to share with other people. So I'm trying to sort of open myself up to that moment to find something that really captures my curiosity and imagination.
Like resilience, you're trying to find out what that sound is, right?
Yes, yes, and I'm chasing that. I'm like putting my antennas up. So
Well, I am so thankful. And everyone, please go out and read this book and all of her others. They're absolutely amazing. So, Jasmine, thank you so very much.
thank you so much, Chris. This is so fun.